So when it comes to the relationship with America, America has been making all the mistakes. But there is now a change, I think, going on, Darryl, and that is that the situation in America is now so fragile in terms of the outlook for the dollar. There is absolutely no doubt that if you properly look at the US economy, it is in recession. Of that, there is absolutely no doubt. When I say recession, the only thing that is holding up GDP, which is a nonsense, it's only a measure of the amount of credit, if you like, for qualifying activities within GDP, is just credit. It doesn't tell you how that credit's being used. It can be gambled away somewhere, but it still counts as, as growth. The fact of the matter is that if you take the value of the budget deficit out of GDP this year, last year, and the year before, America has been in recession. The private sector has been in recession. And that's the one that counts. And this is why unemployment is actually rising. But, the government controls all the statistics. And we believe what they say. They're telling lies, actually. The statistics are no guide at all. So on that basis, it is clear, I think, that the dollar is now under pressure. So we had a situation where, if you went back to the week after Liberation Day, April the 2nd, President Xi then actually went on the offensive, or defensive, if you like, but acted as opposed to just sort of calmly laid back. He went round the other ASEAN nations in Southeast Asia, basically talked to the leaders. He went to the main ones. He didn't go to all of them. But he talked to the leaders. Now, we don't know what the conversation was, but it was quite clear that it was all about maintaining free trade throughout the, if you like, those nations which are either dominated or have a very large element of the Chinese diaspora. And he also, and this is now actually sort of changed hugely because of the Japanese election, he also, along with Japan and South Korea, accelerated the talks towards to a free trade area between those three nations. So these were positive moves for the first time by President Xi. And guess what? About a month or two later, the Shanghai Gold Exchange announced that it was opening vaults in Saudi Arabia and Hong Kong. We have seen further evidence that Hong Kong is being beefed up to be the international financial center for China, as its CIPS settlement system, the Chinese international payment system, really gets into a higher gear. And the whole concept, if you like, is that these vaults will allow, for trade settlement purposes, Chinese yuan, to be exchanged for gold. Now, what we haven't got is we haven't got a fixed gold yuan rate. But I have no doubt that what he has done is he has put in place the ability to fix the yuan to gold for international trade settlement. So, and now we have, things have been deteriorating in terms of America's finances. And obviously I don't know what the Chinese internal advice is to if you like, President Xi and his fellow senior ministers. But I would guess that they're making the assessment that the American economy is stalling, and that therefore the US is very definitely going into a debt trap, and therefore the yield on US Treasuries is going to rise materially, and therefore they should advise private sector holders, under license of course, of US Treasury debt to reduce their positions. And guess what? That's what they did last week. So you can see that the indications coming out of China is that the Chinese now think that the dollar is on the verge of a collapse. Now, how long the collapse takes, we will see. But you can see which way this is going. And we should pay attention, if you like, to these moves because they are extremely important, particularly when you have a stock market with the S&P close to all-time records. You have bond yields tending to drift a little bit lower in this environment, etc. All these things are not looking quite so sure if you look at it from China's point of view. And the other thing I would point out is if you look at commodity prices have been rising ever since COVID. And if you look at the CRB index, it's 3 times what it was at the time, which means it's risen 200%. A lot of people have noticed this, but this is actually very, very important. So, from China's point of view, America, they don't need to do anything. America is just destroying itself. But what China is now doing is it's moving into self-protection mode. It's ensuring that it doesn't fall, its currency doesn't collapse along with the dollar, and it's put the mechanisms in place to secure the value of its currency against gold. Basically, we're looking at the end game for the dollar. The dollar is a fiat currency. It's not going to last very long now. So far, it's lasted, from 1971, end of Bretton Woods to today. So we're looking at nearly 55 years. That's probably about reasonably good for a fiat currency, actually, that sort of length of time. But it's over. It's over. The key to it is to understand that gold is money and everything else is credit. Okay, and that includes currencies. The thing that's amazing is that the economics profession doesn't actually understand this. They don't even understand how bank credit is created. They think it's sort of, some sort of, reserve multiplier, whatever, which isn't. It's not that at all. That's a separate topic. The point is they don't understand what the hell is going on. Everybody in Asia does understand, and they know what's happening to the fiat currency. They're getting out of it, and the way you get out of it is to sell it for real money, which of course is gold. And you don't just look at the reserves on PBOC's balance sheet, because not all this gold goes there. In fact, I think a very small portion of it goes onto the PBOC's balance sheet. The rest of it, we know, is spread around various parts of the Chinese government, whether it's the People's Liberation Army or the youth wing of the Communist Party or whatever. It's all hidden in there. Call it some sort of huge, great wealth fund, if you like. And not only that, but increasingly individuals in Asia understand what's happened. And so they're getting out of, their own currency, in a sense, into gold and also silver. And this is creating, if you like, a bit of a crisis for Western capital markets. On top of that, when you got the BRICS Forum and you got the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and all the rest of it, there are obviously discussions, if you like, particularly in the sort of sidelines between the heads of central banks and so on, about the future role of gold for BRICS and also for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Now, that explains why quite a lot of countries, places like Africa, for example, are accumulating gold. They're trying to get away from holding fiat currencies, and particularly dollars. And this is why it's quite clear that the end game, as far as the dollar is concerned, will see it collapse. And the Chinese, meanwhile, will put their yuan, their fiat yuan, onto a gold standard, so it becomes a gold substitute. The only question we don't know the answer to is how long will this process take? The fact that China is now turning around and has very publicly told its investing institutions, who under license, because they have to be licensed by the PBOC to buy foreign bonds. Under license, they have been told, reduce your positions. We should listen too. Mm-hmm. So, there's President Trump has also upset Europeans with his, if you like, his policy towards Greenland, where he's backed off that now. That was crazy. You've also got oil. We're beginning to see oil perk up. I don't know if you noticed, but oil this morning, having been as low as 55, we're now looking, 64 and change. So $64 for WTI. I think that's probably going to go a lot higher. I think President Trump will back out of doing something against Iran. So I don't think they'll close the Straits of Hormuz, because undoubtedly, if America attacked Iran, they would close the Straits of Hormuz. And I think